All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Miffed, Gorax, and Semiautomagic Fuck Shit Up. Switching to main screen. This week we are replaying actually a battle we played last week. So we won't go into the too many details about what happened last week. I won, George lost. So somehow the stream dropped. And we had technical issues,
I have no
and
control over the internet.
Suddenly we have to re-record this battle. So today's battle, we are at step 4 of the Journeyman battle experience. So Journeyman battle boxes are, let's explain this to the audience. What is a Journeyman League and how does it work?
So a Journeyman League is at its heart a slow grow league, basically where you start with just the original battle boxes that Privateer Press sells, or one of the alternate battle boxes, and then you work from there all the way up to 35 points. Each week you add a few points, or sometimes you change a caster, which is what's happened here. In the last two-part video that you guys saw, you would have seen us playing a 25-point battle with our original Warcasters. This week we get to change our Warcasters. So this is the first 25-point battle with an alternate Warcaster.
So the cool thing, and it's a choice, you don't have to change your Warcaster, but it gives you an opportunity. And in a Journeyman League, this is all about learning. This is all about slow growth. It's all about putting one extra thing into your toolkit. So it's actually a really good way for you to test out your first different caster. Now, my original battle box was Nemo 3, who's called the Old Man, very base statistics, but super good with magic. And super good with lightning in particular. We've now, actually it was Nemo 1, sorry, not Nemo 3, my apologies. We're now graduating. I am going to swap in this guy, Striker, who's actually the original caster from the faction. He's probably the most, I don't know how to say, generic. I think out of all the casters in all of Warmachine, Striker 1, I'm going to say this flat out, I think he's the most generic of all casters.
Yeah.
He's got a great toolbox, a lot of support, and he's known for being super good with jacks and super hard to kill, particularly on his feet turn. He's just armor boy.
He's not highly specialized in anything. He just sort of does everything okay.
Yeah, that's his main claim to fame. So I thought this would be a great, I don't use Striker very often, and he has his own character, Jackal Rowdy, who's, I just absolutely adored painting this guy. So it gives me a great opportunity to bring old Rowdy into play. And yeah, I just love this Jack. Other than that, in front of me, just because I've already started describing who I'm bringing along, we'll do George right after this. I'm bringing the two Jacks out of the battle box. So there's a Centurion and a Defender. So Centurion is really tough to kill, super high armor, and he is unchargeable when he wants to be unchargeable. Mistakes I've made so far that have been pointed out by some of the viewers, that I'm not really using Centurion well, and that is absolutely true. It's not a Jack I use normally, so it's my challenge to get better at Centurion, which is why we're doing this. And Defender is actually probably one of my favorite Jacks in this entire faction. The reason why he's my favorite Jack is he can shoot with the right bunch of spells. He can pretty much shoot clear across the board. Just an awesome Jack. The problem with him is that you still only get one shot. So you got to make he gets those shots across the board. He's decent in melee, but you have to make those shots across the board work for you. Last but not least, we brought out, if you're playing Cygnar, there's one set of models everybody will tell you to buy right after the battle box, and that is the Black 13th. The Black 13th, not only are they some of the original models PP put out, so they're an old model, they're small, they're weird, they're not quite the right size, but they're kind of considered like the best toolbox of the faction. They've just got a lot of cool stuff that they can do. I've had the Black 13th manage on assassination runs, take out casters. I've had the Black 13th be the best support you can possibly have. And I've had them capture flags. They're just a pain in the ass, and they have to be dealt with. If you're playing against the Black 13th, don't just think of them as 3 gun mages off in the corner. Think of them as something that can do nasty stuff to you if they get within 10 inches.
One thing to mention, they are Cygnar's character unit. Most factions have a character unit The character units will always be more powerful. They'll cost more, but they always have that little bit of extra punch. I would highly I would highly suggest for anybody to check out the character unit in your faction.
Yeah.
They are often a lot better than people give them credit for. The Cygnar ones, everybody knows already, but a lot of the others, they need to be looked into because they do some great stuff.
Absolutely. So George, why don't you run through your units first, what you're bringing today, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to answer a few of the viewer questions that we've had in the last couple of weeks. I think there's only one or two, and we'll also deal with today. What we're going to do is we're going to get used to doing our sort of pre-show stuff. We haven't done one of these. We're now getting into our fifth episode, so we're starting to actually build up some stuff that we need to do before we start the game. We'll try to keep the game going relatively quickly once we get started. But tell me about what you're bringing.
So today we're bringing Axis the Harmonic Enforcer.
And this is your new caster.
This is my new caster. We've been playing Aurora up until now. Axis is our other human warcaster. There's only 2 of them in the faction. Everybody else are constructs or robots. Axis is basically their bruiser. His job is to get up in the front and kill heavies. That's what he does. The trick is, of course, to protect him while he goes and does his job. He has 2 hammers, action and reaction, which are his 2 beat sticks. And for every focus he spends, he can actually do 2 attacks with it. So if he can get up to you with a full stack of focus, he's going to make like 14 attacks. In his battle group, we have the Monitor, which is a really great jack. It's got a POW 13 ranged attack that also on a critical attack adds an additional die. So that means you can boost it for 4 dice. And he's got a sustained attack POW 17 fist, so that if you need to put him into melee, once he hits that first time, he just keeps hitting. Next, we're bringing the Assimilator. The Assimilator's a great sort of all-round jack as well because he has an AoE weapon that can also be used as a ground pounder. A ground pounder, you place an AoE, and then everything under that AoE takes a hit. So things that ignore blast damage can still be hit by the AoE because you're actually making an attack on everything underneath it. It's not a blast.
He's also you said he's a weapon master as well.
Yeah, this guy is also a weapon master.
And what is a weapon master? Let's quickly go over that.
A weapon master, to signify that a particular model has a really good understanding of the weapon they're using. They get an additional die on attack, on the damage roll. So,
what does that look like? What does the symbol look like for Weapon Master on the card?
Weapon Master looks like a sword hilt.
Right. So if you have a sword hilt on your card, and this is important for new players because I think those little symbols sometimes get confusing if you haven't sat down and read the entire rule book. If you've just played with a press ganger once, and then you go and buy your first battle box and you start looking through it, if you see that little symbol, it looks like a sword hilt. That means you're a weapon master, and what that means is you get to add an extra die to any attack you make with your melee weapon. With whatever weapon has the sword hilt.
You can actually have ranged weapon masters. Right. They are the rarity rather than the rule.
Right, because it's pretty nasty to be doing.
I can think of one. But the really great thing is because it specifies that it's an additional die of damage as opposed to being a boosted die of damage. It will stack. So a charging weapon master, again, gets the 4 dice as opposed to 3.
Really nasty. So you have to deal with that. And you've got 2. You're bringing in your first units.
Yeah. The 2 units, one are the Reciprocators, which are a medium-based unit. The Reciprocators have 8 boxes, so they can take some damage. They also have the ability to either have set defense, which will give them a +2 to their defense when they're being charged, or empowered attack if I swap it around, and an empowered attack gives them a +2 to their damage rolls. So what that means is that when they need to hit hard, they can, and when they need to take a charge, they can. The other group I'm bringing are the Obstructors. Then the Obstructors are a basic shield guard infantry, and shield guard is something that both of these units have. Or shield wall, sorry, not shield guard. Shield wall is a unit or an ability that both of these units have. they can receive a shield wall order, which allows them to make their normal movement and attack. But if they end up in base-to-base contact with each other, so if they're at least 2 models that are in base-to-base, then they get a +4 to their armor, which it gives them a lot of survival.
Gives you some, super high durability for that first charge.
It's
basically
important to note that running is an order, and run charge order is an order. So because shield wall is also an order, they cannot do either of those things.
Yeah, you have to decide.
When
and they're a good toolbox. I mean, just from what I understand, the nice thing is you've got a nice toolbox because they basically have 3 different modes. Most infantry units don't have. They'll have 1 mode.
Yes.
Like or 2 tops. But if you imagine, perhaps, like if you're looking in the Cygnar stuff, you're looking at Stormguard. Stormguard have 1 mode, which is you can't charge us. Once you get to us, we'll beat on you, but you can't charge us. Storm Knights have 1 assault, which is that the not run charge order, assault order.
Yeah.
That 1 order, and so they have that 1 thing. But these ones are pretty cool because they're a good, like, here you go. You can do 1 of 3 things per turn.
Yeah, and another thing to bring up is they have what they call the teleflail. I don't think this guy has one.
Moon.
Everybody.
Damn it, Moon.
Moon over there has lost his teleflail. But the teleflail is, because it is a chain weapon, and then again, that's something you'll see on the card, it ignores shield wall and shields when they're doing damage. So something like the Centurion's shield is removed from his total armor when you're making that attack.
So finally, you have 1 more dude that is the dude I hate the most.
My little friend, the Enigma Foundry. The Enigma Foundry, every time somebody dies within his command range, which in this case is 10 inches, he receives a corpse token. Once per turn, he can either place 1 medium base back into play for 1 corpse token, or up to 3 small based models back into play for up to 3 tokens.
So here's some cool things to mention for new players that are playing Convergence if you're trying to copy some of George's lists. One of the things to keep in mind with the Enigma Foundry is, and this is for people taking on Convergence, and actually this comes up with Crix as well. If you're playing against Crix or you're playing against Convergence, the important thing to note is he can only bring those back if they're still members of that unit in existence.
Correct.
So the way around an Enigma Foundry or Cephalix, I think it's not the Dominator, one of the Mind Slaver, I think.
Yeah.
I think the way around those types of things where they can bring back guys is to completely decimate the unit that they're bringing them back into. They can only do it if there's still something there for them to bring it into. So if you can't get the Enigma Foundry and you're going to start trying to take out his infantry, try to remember to take out all the infantry, because that's the only way you're really going to put a kibosh on him, popping them all back up. And the nasty thing about it is they don't come back inactive. They come back before they're, as long as you haven't activated the unit.
As long as you haven't activated the unit, and you bring them back into that unit, they can activate along with the rest of the unit.
They can activate along with the rest of the unit. Okay, so let's, that kind of covers the basics, and as we said, we did play this through. George denies losing to me horribly because he tried to hide his caster, who is a frontline caster and shouldn't have been hiding. Really should have walked up to Old Rowdy and given Old Rowdy a beating to the face. We are going to quickly answer a couple of, or comment on some user comments and any questions. If anybody who is watching, I know we've only got a couple viewers, but if you do have a question about the game anytime during the game, feel free to comment, ask a question, or if you have, if you're watching this on our YouTube channel or you're watching this on our Twitch stream, please remember that we are doing this to learn ourselves. So we're going to make mistakes. That's why it's fuck shit up. That's what we're here to do, is to fuck shit up. Yeah. And remember that if you have strategies or tips, you can either find us on, I think we will have a Facebook for this channel coming up pretty soon. You can like us on Facebook. You can comment there. Even better, please comment in the YouTube stream. That way other players who are watching it can also learn from our mistakes. Or if you're watching the Twitch stream live, feel free to make a comment at any time. If you have questions for us, we are always open. And George is a press ganger, so he does have a fairly good knowledge of the rules. And luckily we have some friends that have really good knowledge
Yeah,
of the rules.
and we can always find out something if we come up against something we don't know.
Now, and nothing that we say will ever be gospel, but
No.
and so I mean, trust in Privateer Press that they will answer your questions better than us. But if you've got some basic questions on how the game works, always feel free to ask. So last week, just to go back in time a little bit, we had an epic battle between Nemo 1 and who were you playing in that battle? You were
I was
playing.
playing Aurora because we were
Oh,
still
right,
on
you're
the
playing in
original
Aurora.
top 5.
And I think Nemo won. I think it was. Did Nemo beat you, or did you beat Nemo? I can't remember how it all ended up.
I beat Nemo because don't you remember I flew up to the house and he had
right.
to try and dominate?
Yeah, that's right. And I would have actually had more focus if I had known how Nemo works. We had a great friend of the podcast come in. I'm sorry, I don't remember his name right now.
Paul.
Paul came in and he's a hardcore Cygnar player, so he knows his Cygnar stuff. And he pointed out the old Miffed Gorax's fuck ups, and we super appreciate it because it means I'm not going to make those. Oh, I'll probably make those mistakes again. Who am I kidding? But at least I have learned some cool stuff. One is that the journeyman, whenever the journeyman casts a spell, that actually triggers Nemo's ability to grab focus. So he would have had more. He would have been sitting on some extra focus for that turn, which would have been really, really badass. Also, a huge mistake on my part. I really fucked this up. And I think a lot of new players make this mistake. George, explain the mistake that I made. Huge mistake when it comes to being able to cast spells.
Oh, casting spells. So one thing that is important to note is that all spells have a range, just like a gun or anything else. And the range is for both friendly and for enemies. So if you are trying to cast a buff on your own jacks and you ran that jack before you activated your caster, that can be problematic because your caster won't be in range. And remember, if you run, you're done. So you can't run your caster up and then cast the spell.
Right.
Now, one thing that you can try and do is you are allowed to charge during your turn when you have cast spells. So often what people will do is they will cast spells on their jacks, anybody else they need to get their buffs on, and they will pick an opponent's model that if they had unlimited charge range, they could reach, and they will charge that model, giving them that extra 3 inches to get up the board.
And I think that's actually a valid point because I think more players make that mistake than anybody than any other mistake in the game.
And
I
just
am
to note,
sure
you don't have to have that range to upkeep the spell.
Yeah.
But it is necessary when you're casting.
Yeah, and that's a really important thing to point out. One of the things that there's two that's starting with the running, casting and running. I think I guarantee you in tournament settings, I've seen people cast and run, and we don't realize it. What we do is beginning of our first turn, I'm going to cast this on this guy, and then I'm going to run over here. Well, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And the second thing is you forget about that your upkeeps are in limited range. That's to new players in particular. I mean, a regular tournament player is not going to forget that, but a new player in particular you need to understand that. That's why it's really important to get those upkeep spells on the person, the unit, the jack that you want those upkeep spells on for most of the game. Because once he's out there, you're good. You can just keep upkeeping it. You don't really have to think about it anymore.
That's why purification can be a real bugaboo for casters that really rely on their upkeeps.
Yeah.
If you have a upkeep that you've gotten out there and you're using it basically to keep that front edge guy alive, and someone purifies off that upkeep and your caster is too far away to get it back on, that can be a big issue.
Oh, absolutely. Like if you're Centurion or Bradigus, these guys that rely on synergy to be their main be their main thing. If you're constantly taking that, is that an upkeep spell, synergy? I don't think. Okay, so if I'm constantly dragging that off of you, well, that's always going to be sucking the 2 or 3 focus out of you every round.
For Centurion, that's half his stat.
Oh, for Bradigus, that's your thing.
That's
so
your thing, yeah.
you and I believe it is half his fury too. So anyway, that's getting really into much deeper parts of the game than we need to. But this is the type of thing that's super important, I think, with a game like this as you get deeper and deeper into it. To constantly have feedback from better players. One of the things. So I played my first tournament this week. we may as well talk about you and I both went to
We went to Kingston, and
Kingston.
we did the Holiday Hangover, which was a really great tournament.
Yeah,
Um,
a lot of super sweet dudes there.
yeah, we, we were really lucky to have some, I would say, some of the best players in Southern Ontario.
Yeah, stunningly great players. I think the Kingston meta is nothing to sneeze at. Quickly give a shout out to Aggie and the crew.
Yeah.
They put on a great tournament. The Nexus is an awesome location. If you are in the Kingston area, go check out the Nexus.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, straight up. I mean, we love our local game stores. We love Wizard's Tower. Never gonna slag the totally talking about a different place.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that is such a cool. I mean, that is an underground hut full of scum and debauchery and well, not debauchery, scum and nerdery.
Yes.
So go check out the Nexus. Highly recommend it. George, tell me a bit about tell me a bit about that tournament and tell me a bit about your experience.
Well, I had a really good experience at that tournament. The tournament was a 20-person, which is a really good size. Excuse me. We did 4 rounds. It was a Steamroller 2015 beta because, of course, it managed to run
like a day,
a
2
day
days
or two before the final came out of 2015. I had a lot of fun. I lost my first game. Now, I don't feel too bad about that because the guy that beat me then went ahead and won the whole thing.
Yeah, beat everybody.
And then I won my next 3 games. Again, I will apologize to the nice player that I savagely cheated against. I did manage to activate a Prime Axiom twice in the same turn, which is savagely cheating. But I did also manage to kill his caster while doing it. So, you know.
He didn't notice you cheating. So it's not cheating if, wait, it's totally
it's still
cheating.
Totally cheating.
Yeah. Now, there would have been, if this had been an officially sanctioned tournament,
I would have been out.
You would have been pulled
Totally.
aside. And
people have been DQ'd for a lot less.
So, so you went 3-0, or 3-1. You lost your first round. So, I mean, there was really, you weren't going to win the tournament at that point.
No.
But that's not the point,
I
right?
went to that tournament to secure a single win.
Yeah.
Because it's not a meta I know well. I couldn't prepare for anything. And realistically, I was just there to have fun.
Yeah.
There was a lot more cricks in that tournament than I was expecting.
Oh, God, the cricks.
The Ottawa meta is very Legion heavy. The Kingston meta, turns out, is quite cricks heavy.
Yeah.
The only Legion person in that tournament was, in fact, somebody we had brought down from Ottawa.
And this is an important, actually, just to bring this up as a side point for new players. I think it's really important. Being a new player myself is the only reason why I think I can comment on this. I think it's really important when you're going to your first tournament to not tech for your meta anymore.
No.
Because the tournament setting is going to bring people from different towns, especially if it's a big... I mean, the Nexus tournament wasn't really meant to be a huge tournament, but it ended up because Tim Banky was there, all the Kingston people and the Ottawa people decided to crash the Kingston meta. You had some really great players all in one room, and coming from the Ottawa meta, in fact, my meta is actually even smaller. My meta is this room, basically. I mean, I've played a lot of different players over the last 6 months, but I've done most of my tournament-style settings with Circle up until that point. So, I mean, really, that was just about assassination. The important part is to take a look at your overall list and get super comfortable with a all-comers list. Be prepared for everything, and that's to move to my experience. I think I had a really great first time experience. First off, I won 2 games, which I expected to not win a single game with that crowd. I mean, I expected to just be stomped off the board. I expected most people to just call me on all my bullshit, be like, you made this mistake, you made this mistake, you made this mistake, and now you're dead. Amazingly, I think our practice has helped a lot. I stayed under clock time on every one of my games. One of my opponents clocked out. He was running trolls and just had so much to do. And when you're running trolls, and I was running E-Haley, when you're running trolls and run into E-Haley's feet, which forces you to stop and activate one at a time and not in your order. And then he feeded with, I can't remember the name, Madrak, in that same turn.
Ooh.
So that meant that Madrak now gives a second activation, basically, to all of those trolls it just crushed his turn. I mean, he must have, that one turn, I'm going to say, took 20 minutes out of his clock. One of the cool things that George and I did during our prep time, and we've been doing whenever we play on clock, is we played at 50 minutes. And I think that that's part of the secret to me being able to get under 60, because I'm so used to playing in that 50 minutes. Trying to keep to that like 10 minutes a turn type of thing, because I don't expect it to go much over 5 rounds.
Yeah.
That really, really helped. So I won my first game, and then got savagely beaten by lack of knowledge in the next 2 games. Both incredibly good players, incredibly knowledgeable players, who just, they knew things that I did not. And that's the learning experience that I wanted. I wanted to, I now will have a way different way of dealing with cricks, especially a Bane spam list. And I now have a completely different concept of Menoth. I've never fought Menoth before. I went to the table saying I know nothing about Menoth. And Menoth are just like the denial masters. Do you want to do that? No, can't do that, can't do that, can't do that. And if you do that, you will die. So that was a cool experience. And so overall, I think we could both agree, Aggie and the crew put on an amazing tournament.
Absolutely.
It was really cool to meet Tim, who's from Toronto.
Tim Beckey's from Southern Ontario. I think
Southern
he's
Ontario.
actually from Hamilton.
From Hamilton. So he came out, he's a
judge.
He's a judge. And very cool to be in the position where we can ask big questions about big things. And we learned a lot. And I really fucked up a lot of things. And I pulled a lot of bullshit that I didn't realize was bullshit until it was called.
Until after it had happened.
But, you know, that's part of the game, too. And if you, and I think that goes to new players as well, if you don't have a thick skin for other players' bullshit, you're going to have a bad time. So just remember, there are players that know less than you. There are players that forget things. We all do it. Even the best players are going to forget stuff from time to time. It doesn't mean they're cheating. It just means that they forgot something. And I think this is a great point, because this came up. Never let somebody go on a piece of bullshit.
Yeah,
because
always point out their mistake. Not
in a polite and happy way.
Yes, you have to do it in a polite way, but always question them. Say, hey, that's a really neat move. I didn't know he could do that. Can I see that card? And then they'll go, oh, wait, he can't charge through a wall or whatever.
And most of the time it's totally legitimate. They weren't trying to fool you.
No.
What they're trying to do is they did it not thinking, and then
they're thinking about another model or a move that they're going to make next. Yeah. And it just leaves their head.
It's like, so one of the things that I totally screwed up on was Dynamo. I, for some reason, had him mixed up with my Storm Blades, that once he hits once, he's good. So it doesn't really matter because that guy savagely beat me anyway. I didn't even manage to kill the model with Dynamo that I should have killed. So Dynamo activates, I hit once, and then I just started rolling damage for his 4 shots. And of course, as soon as I read the card afterwards, I'm like, oh shit. That's totally not how this works. Okay, I think we've blah, blah, blah enough. So today's Battle Box Royale is brought to you by St. Ambrose Oatmeal Stout. A delicious beer that I am about to consume in front of your very eyes. And let us roll off to see who goes first.
I got a 4.
I got a 6.
So
All
you
right.
get to choose whether
I get
to
to
go
choose.
first or second.
Okay, so I think this is a good moment to talk about this because we haven't talked about this before. While we're figuring out this particular stage, what are the advantages and disadvantages? So I have rolled a 6. That means I get to choose what I do. If I'm a new player and I'm looking at the board, probably it's going to say I go first. But so why would I want to choose?
First is almost always the best option, but the things you have to consider are the terrain on the table, the specific scenario conditions for a win, and the army that your opponent is playing compared to the army you're playing. Now, I know that sounds like a lot. The first one is terrain. You just do a quick look at the board. Looking at this board, we've got some blocking features. We've got a couple of linear obstacles, which are basically walls, and we've got a hill. So if I want to be able to get up on a hill so that I can see more of the board, not have line of sight problems, then I might want to take this side. Now, when you
one of the things you can do as second player is choose your side.
Yes. So the first player gets to set up first, and the second player gets to choose the board edge.
I think the other thing that's a huge advantage for second player, and one of the reasons why I often, especially when playing Circle, I choose second player, is that I can tech to how you've set up.
Yeah, so because you're setting up first, you actually are giving up the chance to look across the board and say, where has he placed his models and how can I react to that? I like to say that second player is reactive and player one is proactive. So player one asks the question, can you deal with how I've set up?
Yeah.
And player two gets to react to the question that has been asked.
And then, of course, the third thing to look at other than terrain and setup is the scenario or your opponent's army. And one of the things that I look for, particularly if I'm going to choose first or second, and this for good or for bad, is I look for cavalry or highly mobile units, because I know that if I'm going first, it's going to be very difficult for me to deploy against cavalry because they're going to be in my face. Whereas if I'm going second, it's more likely that they're going to move up, and then I'm going to be able to, tech it from there.
Yeah. One of the things about the scenario, though, is especially if there's something like a zone and your opponent has fast infantry, a big thing that you have to do is think, as the player going second, am I going to be able to get into that zone and keep my opponent out of it?
Yeah.
Because if they get into that zone and set up shop, often that's all they need, because they just need to contest that zone.
Absolutely. Okay, let's. The next thing we're going to look at is we have chosen a scenario. We have the awesomeness of going from the new 2015 Steamroller package.
Yeah.
The scenario we've got. Oh, I gotta open up the iPad. Sorry about this, folks.
Good.
So the scenario we are playing today is scenario number 3, Close Quarters.
Okay.
First off, we have Killbox.
Ooh, Killbox is a yes.
So we have discussed Killbox before very quickly. If you want to learn more about Killbox, you can watch last week's episode. Killbox is a 14-inch area around the edge of the board where casters should not stand. If you stay within Killbox... Actually, George, why don't you describe Killbox?
So, in a Killbox scenario like this one, as long as your caster's base is outside of 14 inches from all the board edges, you're fine. If your caster retreats back into that area, you're going to give your opponent 2 control points.
Yep.
Now, it's important to note that it is within, not completely within. So as long as some point of your base is outside of that 14-inch zone, you're fine.
Yep.
The other thing to point out that a lot of people forget is that it is a box. That is all table edges, not just yours and your opponent's.
Yep.
So people will tend to veer all the way to one of the sides and kill boxes.
Okay, other than that, the victory conditions are actually really, really, really simple for close quarters. We don't have any objectives. Our big thing is we have 2 flags.
Yep.
They have no hit points or anything along those lines. It's not a matter of trying to kill anything. Simply game of capture the flag. You've got a flag. I've got a flag. You get 1 point for domination. You get 1 point for control on your enemy, or 1 point for dominating your own flag. Which is domination is within 4 inches with nobody else.
Domination is in base to base with the flag with your warcaster.
Yep.
That's the important part about
Right,
domination.
absolutely.
And no enemy models within 4 inches of the flag.
Yeah, so looking at this board right now, if we're about to take objectives in, George kind of has a sweet little bonus over there that his house will he can go stand right beside his house, which will give him a little bit of cover. And
actually, you are in the better if you take that board edge, which, let's be frank, we're not switching sides
at this
no
point.
matter who goes first or second. You can actually stand behind that house, and still be within 4 inches.
And still make it really difficult for you to get any points. So on the enemy side, if you control, you get 1 point, which is standing within 4 inches. With a unit, you need
touching again.
Oh, I thought dominate was touching.
Both control and dominate use the same rules. The difference is that dominate requires a warcaster.
Okay.
And a control.
Okay. So there's no 4-inch thing. You just need to run over and touch it.
The 4-inch thing you're probably thinking of is that when you have a unit, one of the members of the unit must be touching the flag, and all of the other members of the unit must be within 4 inches.
Okay, and I must be thinking about zones or something along those lines as far as what I was thinking about. But anyway, long story short, very, very, very simple. Luckily, I've got Striker, so I'm not as concerned about the kill box. Normally, I'd be like, oh shit, kill box, how am I going to keep the old man safe? But Striker can take a bit of a beating for a Cygnar caster. I mean, he's
especially on his feet turn.
Especially on his feet turn. But for a Cygnar caster, he's pretty darn durable. Okay, I am going to go first.
Okay. So the one other little advantage to going second that we didn't mention is that you get a larger deployment zone. When you're going first in the scenario packet for Steamroller, both 2014 and 2015, the first player gets a 7-inch deployment zone, and the second player gets a 10-inch deployment zone.
And always check the scenario, of course, because that does change from scenario to scenario, but pretty darn rarely. Once again, see. So the way I like to set up my deployment is I set dice up on the edge of my deployment area. This just helps me go quicker, really.
And visualize it.
Visualize what I'm doing. I'm pretty much going to set up the way I would that I normally set up these guys.
I'm going to go get my tape measure.
Okay, you go get your tape measure. I'm trying to remember to stay behind the line. While George is getting his tape measure, we'll show you some of the cool stuff, because we actually picked up cool stuff today. Big shout out to Wizard's Tower, who managed to get these in, I think, pretty much before everybody else out there. We got our new AoE rings from Privateer Press. I have the Warmachine version, which they're just, let's be honest, they're different color plastic. Slightly different design. They come in bags of 3-inch rings, 4-inch rings, and 5-inch rings. You get 5 3-inch rings, which is awesome for E-Haley and Stormwall, because I need those. And the 4-inch rings, and finally the 5-inch ring. The 4-inch rings come in packs of 3, and the 5-inch rings come in this nice big thing. Single ring.
It's very seldom you will ever have 2 5-inch things happening at the same time.
Yeah, mainly this is going to be Siege's
Foxhole.
Foxhole will pretty much be when this becomes a thing. Cool things that we noticed that we didn't know from the Privateer Press website when we first opened up our rings is that they are set up to write on, which is pretty cool, because that means you could write down what the effect is on the ring. So Foxhole, for example, I have a space on here that I can write Foxhole. Once again, in indelible marker, everybody, you have to go run out and buy Sharpies. That's the only thing that comes off. You just wipe it, comes off. No, buy the dry erase marker. You can write on them. Super, super awesome. Looking forward to these becoming a thing in my game.
One other thing is that on the rings, let's see, I'll get it way too close to the camera, and you might be able to see it, is that they do have the numbers on them for deviation.
Yeah.
So if you're placing a deviation marker, you can roll a die and find out which direction.
Yeah, really, really cool. We've been using brass rings forever, and they're great. Go out and you go to if you go to your local craft store. Sorry, I've deployed. You go ahead and deploy. We're not on clocks, so we can blah, blah, blah. You can go out to your local craft store. You can buy brass rings. They're usually in the leatherworking section. The brass rings work great. Problems we have noticed with the brass rings is they do have variable sizes. They are not always exactly the right size, which can be bad.
They're pretty close.
Pretty close. But I have some 3-inch rings that can fit inside of other 3-inch rings. So, I mean, that's a pretty big deviation. So yeah, you can get them for cheaper, because I think they're about like $1 a pack for the brass rings, but the reality is that these do have some cool features, and they're fun. Anything that we can do to support Privateer Press, we will do, because they are a great company creating a great game, and they do, as far as we are concerned, we've always felt like they care about their audience, and that's why we support them, and that's why we're doing this podcast.
That and it's lots of fun.
And we enjoy interacting with you guys. So George is deploying pretty standard. I think we've both done pretty standard deployments. It looks like we're both worrying about figuring out how to keep our flag from being dominated, it looks like. And this time he's got his caster dead set in the center up front. I don't think he's going to make the same mistake he made last time.
Yeah, try not to.
So some of the other tools we've got on the board, and we can talk about quickly as we move along. So you'll find these often at your conventions mainly. Privateer Press doesn't put one of these out yet.
Not yet. They are coming.
They are coming. This
called a precision measuring tool.
And dude, learn to use your precision measuring tool. I made so many mistakes at the tournament because I didn't use my precision measuring tool. Yet another precision measuring tool. I don't have the not the blast spray template, and of course we have blast templates. You've seen those before. I didn't bring out my spray template because I have nobody that has a spray.
I don't have any sprays either,
It is actually useful as a 10-inch marker. I had that pointed out to me during the tournament because it's a perfectly accurate 10-inch marker. And I'm just going to knock all that stuff over. So it's my turn. I've done enough blah, blah, blah. Let's get this action rolling. And of course, my iPad shut down now. So I'm wasting time in my turn. Oh my God. I have no idea what I'm doing. Actually, I didn't even think about tactics at this point. Usually we've been talking about so much other stuff today.
Give it some focus.
Oh yeah, I should probably do this the right way.
So during the beginning of your turn, first thing you should always do is check to see if there are any effects on your models, like fire, corrosion, stuff like that. Then a really good thing to do is to allocate focus to your jag.
Oh, who needs focus?
Well, I'm playing Convergence. Usually I don't.
Totally kidding. So the nice thing about Old Rowdy is that he runs and charges for free. I didn't talk about Old Rowdy today, but that's one of the main things. So it actually, if you're talking about taking Old Rowdy in your list, one of the reasons why you take him is mana efficiency or focus efficiency, because that takes out that one element. So if you put 3 focus on him, you can use all of that to beat up on stuff because he'll be able to charge for free. So I don't have to give him anything to run. Centurion I will give one. And you know what? The Defender's probably not going to make it far enough to do a 50, although with Snipe, I might be able to actually hit you. So we'll definitely give that a try. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 2 focus on him. And Striker, let's see, Snipe costs 2. Yeah, you know what? I'll probably just keep 1 on him so I can cast 2 spells from good old Striker. So what I've done is I'm allocating focus in this particular case, and George, you can comment on this more on your turn. What I always do is I look at my spell list, and because this is going to be probably the best time for me to cast an upkeep spell like Snipe. I look at my spell list, I figure out how much focus I need to accomplish casting all the spells I want, or how much extra focus I want to keep on myself for armor. That doesn't usually come in until later in the game. And then I spread it around. So in this case, I want to cast 2 upkeep spells, so I'm holding on to 4 focus so that I can do that. And that's important because there's nothing worse than activating your caster and realize that you didn't keep enough focus to cast those spells that were going to be super important. So the top of the order, I'm going to activate Striker first, and the reason I'm activating Striker first is because I don't want to make the same mistake I did last time, which is moving my dude and then trying to cast the spell, which is probably exactly the mistake I made last time. So instead, I'm going to cast Snipe, which costs 2.
Today we're also going to learn about line of sight.
Yes.
So to cast a spell, you not only need distance, but you need line of sight to your target. So
I'd need to move him first.
If you want to cast that spell, the best bet is to move forward and then turn your base slightly so that you can see him.
Yeah, technically I could have also actually set it up if I had thought ahead, or set it up so that I could see him. No, I didn't.
For example, I have my caster standing between my 2 jacks because they are both able to be seen by him. He can cast on either one before he activates, or before he moves.
So I've moved Striker now. I've moved him as 6 inches. I've been as accurate as humanly possible. Now I'm going to cast my 2 for Snipe. Thank you for pointing that.
Snipe has a range of...
Snipe has a range. See, we might actually, it's a 6-inch range. Let's see if I am out of the 6-inch range. So I've made 2 mistakes already right off the top. Totally fucked this up. So what I'm going to do instead... So that really blows. I'm trying to be more accurate, so I'm not going to ask you to take that back. I'm just going to be a doofus and learn from my mistakes. So now that leaves me with, I can cast either Arcane... You know what? I'm going to cast Blur on myself. Because I tried to cast and it failed, do I lose the focus?
Yes.
So
you cast, you declare your target.
Yep.
You spend the focus. Then you check your range.
Okay, so I fucked that up completely. So the next thing I can do is I'm going to take my 2 to cast Blur. And that I'll casting on myself, so I don't have to worry about
Yeah.
shit.
Self-casting, 0 range is fine.
So I really made a huge mistake there. And this is something that I did in tournament over and over and over again. Nobody called me on it. But it's a super important thing just to remember, because if I was doing something other than a relatively friendly tournament, I would have gotten called on it, and I would have felt like an even bigger cheater than I am already. So activating the Defender, he has a speed of 5 because I know I don't have snipe on me, which means I know I don't have that 20-inch awesome range of awesomeness. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use my super accurate thing that I can move 5 now. And of course, the big thing is I now want to keep myself within 6 inches of striker. So, because I want to have snipe next turn. So I was going to run over to this wall and go stand over there, but now I don't want to do that. So I want you to notice how I'm using this. Much more accurate. What I'm going to do is I put down the 5 inches and then I roll it up. I'm rolling it up because that means that if I put my base exactly there, I know that that's going to be 5 inches. Next, what I'm going to do is activate Centurion. There's not much, actually, because I can spend run to run.
Yep.
So I will move another 5 inches just to, because I'm not going to be able to shoot. So let's get Centurion well out of the way. So he's going to go.
Well,
Sorry, Defender. So using my super accurate thing of accuracy, he's going to go stand with Striker. We're going to activate the Centurion.
Remember, runs don't have to be in a straight line.
Yeah.
They can be any old shape they want as long as you don't go more than your full movement.
So Centurion speed is only 4. We
I
don't.
don't think that actually has a 4-inch measure.
No, but we can do a bunch of 2s, or we could do a 3 if I wanted a 3+1. So we could do a bunch of 2s. What I'm going to do with Centurion is I am going to run him up. I don't think you have anything that's going to be able to charge clear across the board.
That's the 4-6 one.
That's the 4-6. So this has a 4-inch on this side.
Yeah.
Sweet. So he's going to run up. He's going to run up. I'm kind of hedging my bets that you're not going to be able to get a full run or full charge from that distance on me. It's kind of a guarantee, but
mathematically impossible, I would say.
Yeah, the one thing you may get on me is a couple of you
3.
probably get a ranged shot on me. And then old Rowdy, who has a speed 5. That's a 6. So good old Rowdy is going to go. He can run for free, so good old Rowdy is going to go. He's going to go here and hope for the best. And last but not least, the Black 13th. Black 13th have a speed of 6, so I can use the 6. Actually, in this case, because I'm moving a whole... Oh, I did it again. Did I knock that out?
No, you just rotated it.
I just thought it was the...
You'll have to rotate it back.
So in this case, I'm going to use my tape measure because I do just want to...
We're running an entire unit.
I'm running a unit. They can each do things individually, but in this particular case with just moving, so they have a 6, so I'm going to move them.
Run them 12.
I'm going to run them 12.
The inaccuracy of using a tape measure is directly proportional to its distance from the table.
Yeah.
So if you can put it right down on the table like that, it's perfect. The problem is when you've got a large jack or a colossal or something like that, it's way up in the air. You're going to end up being way off.
Okay, and click, I am done. There was not much else I could do, so I have cast my spell, spent my focus, life is good.
Alrighty. So I'm going to start by allocating some focus. I'm going to give everybody 1. All right. So the first thing I am going to...
So Dr. Baloney said, if they're all in the same line, it's fine. Question.
Okay. So what he's probably referring to is...
Line of sight?
No, yes, for line of sight. On the theory that you aren't cheating at all, or more to the point, on the theory that you placed absolutely everybody directly on the front of the line,
right?
Then technically, because none of them can be farther forward than any other, you do have line of sight to all of your all of your jacks, because none of them are
blocking.
None of them could technically be blocking.
So Dr. Baloney, just to answer your question, you're absolutely... So Dr. Baloney's asked about that line of sight if we're all in the exact same line. Now, the reality is I probably could have contested your saying that, But as soon as I looked overhead, I could see that I had placed Old Rowdy just like a micrometer ahead of Striker. So if I had been smart, what I would have done during my deployment was make sure that everybody was on the same line. I didn't. That is my mistake. I had to suck it up like a big boy and just deal with it.
A good way to, yes, because distance is inclusive. A good way to, if your opponent asks you about that, is that if you explain it just as I did, so none of them can be far enough forward because I'm not cheating, that this is the only way it can be. Make sure you talk to your opponent that way.
Yeah.
Say, okay, this is what I'm doing, because as I said, if you had said, oh yeah, they're all in a line, I would have said, oh yeah, of course, that makes sense.
But as soon as I looked at it, I realized I wasn't going to be able to prove that point. So.
And I'll tell you right now, if I ever actually had anybody measure my deployment, I'm sure that I've never gotten it exactly flat.
No, yeah, it's never going to be perfect.
Outside of putting down a metal ruler that's 4 foot long, measuring both ends, and then screwing it to the table, I'm never going to get a perfect deployment.
Yeah.
So one thing a lot of people will do will actually base calculations of what their opponent is doing based on where their dice were. Something that I always do, just to mess up those calculations, is I will set up the front of my dice on my line, and the back of my dice is where I set up my models.
Yep.
What that means is that if I've set up something slightly forward by mistake, I'm still within my deployment, and also it throws off all of my opponent's measurements by an inch.
So thank you, Dr. Baloney. That's been a great clarification.
Yeah.
And I learned 2 new things. One is George is mean.
I'm a meanie pants.
And 2, if I had just said, no, it was not a straight line, he wouldn't have been able to do anything.
All right, so we're going to start off. We're going to activate the Assimilator. He is just going to, he's going to spend his focus to run. So he is going to float directly forward. First his 5, and then a second 5. And actually, he's not going to move quite.
So you notice we're using these accuracy templates a lot today on both of our activations, and the reason why is I think we both had kind of a rude awakening as far as our accuracy is concerned during this Kingston tournament.
Well, I know I'm inaccurate, and it's one of the things I never measure a Colossal's movement with a tape measure.
Yeah, Colossals in particular.
See. After these messages, we'll be right back.
Yeah, so you shouldn't be able to put that much audio out through my mic.
A vector that is within 6 inches. So I'm going to induct this to the monitor.
Mm-hmm.
Just for people wondering, you spend your focus to run before you run, not after you run.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I could induct to the monitor even though the Assimilator went so far away. So the next thing that I am going to do is, I think I'm going to do access. And access is going to hold on to all of his focus, and he's going to charge Old Rowdy. So he's going to...
And fail, because there's absolutely no way that any character in this game
he can
has
totally
a
make it to
charge
Old Rowdy.
range of 20.
So he's going to move his 8 inches to get up to the front line there, because he is pretending that he is insane and running directly at the opponent. Next, we're going to do the monitor. Could you pass me the 6-inch tool?
Yep, absolutely. While George is doing that, Dr. Baloney says to help you deploy in a straight line, you can use your templates at the line for deployment.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Spray template.
Absolutely, great way to do it, and that would definitely help you keep in a straight line. As I said, I could probably have been a lot more accurate, but that was a learning curve thing for me. I learned, don't do that, Will. And the thing is that's it totally new to me. That has never come up before, and that's part of playing. I think I once again to talk about if you haven't listened to Arcane Assist, it's a great podcast put out by 2 great players and judges. So or refs. So they have a ton of knowledge of how the game is played. And one of the things that they said is, Tim said he doesn't play. I think it goes like this. Don't get, if I quoted you wrong, Tim, you can correct me. He doesn't play caster in tournament until he's played 100 games of them. And that just suddenly like cracks open a, why the hell did I take that list? I've played that list once. Why? I have zero knowledge of that list. So part of the reason why we're doing this is just to play these lists
over and over again.
You know, continue.
I am going to check the control area for my caster, which is something you can do at any time. And he's got a control area of 12 inches. So I know that the monitor is not going to be able to take a shot this turn. So he can attempt to take a shot at Old Rowdy. I happen to know he's going to miss because I've just measured my control area.
Yep.
And he's got 2 Focus of Shame, and he is done. All right, so the next thing that's going to happen is my Reciprocators are going to run. They've got a 10-inch run. And this guy's going to move up 5. And then run another 5. This guy is going to run 10 because he's got a straight line. And because they're all running, we know that they can get in a line like this.
Yeah, this is pretty simple. When you're doing units like this, in order to save time on your clock, get used to not measuring everybody. Most people are going to be pretty trusting in you as long as you keep them in relative formation.
And they're going to go set defense. One thing I always do is measure 2 points, and then I run them to those extents.
Yep.
And then I know that as long as everybody else is back from that, I know that I haven't gone over.
Absolutely. And of course, you know, be honorable about it. It's very easy to screw around with that.
The Obstructors are also going to run. And they're going to actually just sort of cloud up.
Yeah, lovely. He knows I have no AoEs.
These guys are going to be able to get up to the front. And then the Enigma Foundry is also going to run. Where is he going to get a little bit of cover? He's going to run up behind the guy there. All right. So everybody's run. I am done.
Okay, so we tap over, and I'm going to first take a look at my effects. I have one continuous effect on, or one
you have one upkeep.
upkeep. That's what I was looking for. The word upkeep. I have no continuous effects on me. No fire. No corrosion. Nothing nasty that way. So giving myself my focus, I am going to spend 1 to upkeep blur. I technically should probably move blur, but I kind of want to keep it on my caster because I know how nasty blur is on Striker. So now I need to allocate my focus. It's kind of looking like you're at a charge range to me. The most I'll be able to get from charge range. So what I'm looking at is and you know, every player's got his method, and I wouldn't suggest anybody copy my method, but from a strategic point of view, which is more what I'm, you know, decent at, other than knowing the rules, obviously, is whenever I'm coming up with my strategies, I'm going to make a few different assumptions. So I'll move over here and I'll show you what I'm looking at. First off, I have to kind of get good at averaging my distances. So I'm taking a look at the distance between the closest thing for me to charge with Old Rowdy, who is my charge monster. And I figure out in my head if that is going to be more than his 8.5 inches. 8.5 because if I'm within 0.5 inches of him, I'll be able to beat on him. Currently, I'm looking at that, and just from my own sort of visual knowledge of how big 8 or 9 inches is, I'm going to say that's 9 if not 10 inches of distance. I also have to remember that he measured from his caster the distance between his caster and me when he was doing his control area, and that was 13 inches. So by doing that math, I look at that and I say, is that, I need like 5 inches? That's less than 5 inches between this caster and the front of the base of this model. So that's probably maybe 2.5, Yeah, I'd say 2.5 inches. So I can immediately say that charging is not in the cards. I have a couple of options at this point. I can try to run myself in to put Old Rowdy into beating zone. It's a sacrifice at that point, which is kind of stupid to do with Old Rowdies. So I have a couple of different options here. I'm thinking about those tactics at all times to try to figure out how I'm going to take this on. The thing about his infantry that I immediately know, because I've faced Convergence casters before, is decimating his infantry is probably not in my cards until I can get rid of his Enigma Foundry. His Enigma Foundry is well hidden behind a medium base and this large base. I might be able to hit it with my defender, which probably isn't a terrible idea, because if I can get rid of that early in the game, it'll cripple his forces by quite a bit. So what I'm going to do now is, after I've made those sort of things, the only other game I really have in play is Old Rowdy has counter charge, which I know that, so I can put Old Rowdy in a place where if he moves anybody forward, Old Rowdy's going to get to hit them, which is a super awesome way to deal with range dudes. The Centurion is the other guy that gets a super awesome way to deal with charges. So what I'm probably going to do at this point is, now that I've thought about my tactics, I'm just going to walk the Centurion forward and activate his power, his non-charging power, Polarity Field, I think it's called, Polarity Shield. So that means he's not going to need any focus to do that. Old Rowdy's not going to need any focus this round, because all I'm going to do is move him up. And I'm going to move him up in a place where I know that he'd have to move somebody within 6 inches. So I'll get the counter charge. Last but not least, we have the Defender. The Defender is going to get a shot off this round, and we're going to take it on as Enigma Foundry. I'm going to want to boost it. So I'm going to give 2 to my Defender. So I've done all that thinking, and usually I do that while the other player is playing his turn. And you really, I think this is the most important thing to tell every player. Do that thinking on your player's other turn. Start figuring those things out immediately. If you've got that plan in mind, you're not going to waste time on the clock. You're going to be able to go straight into your strategies. Secondly, I always keep my strategies flexible, because honestly, everything's going to change as soon as he moves anybody. So we've done that. We already know that I need to start activating with Striker, and this time Striker is going to move so that he can get some cool spells off this time. I'm not going to need Snipe anymore. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move, and I'm going to put Arcane Shield on probably Old Rowdy, because Old Rowdy isn't quite as survivable as the Centurion. So I need to make sure I move to within 6 inches of Old Rowdy. To do that, I'm going to move Striker up into cover. I know I need to get him into cover because I want to keep him alive. He's got a speed 6. So this is pretty straightforward. I'm going to move him back here to behind the house. He's got cover against almost everybody in George's army at this point. I'm going to spend 2 from his pool to cast Arcane Shield, and then I'm going to check. Yes, I am within 6 inches that time. You can't pull that on me, George! And I'm going to drop Arcane Shield. Arcane Shield's a great utility spell. It ups my armor by 3. So I'm pretty much done with Striker at this point. Now the final decision I have to make before I activate my next guy is, am I going to feat or not? Something that I tried to do on every turn, and I think we all forget to do this as players, is ask myself, am I going to feat this turn? Is this the time to do it? I'm probably going to take the brunt of at least 1 charge at this point, as well as some AoEs, as well as some range stuff. Is this the time to feat? I'm going to say no, because with the +5 to armor, I'm probably going to really want it next round, so that when you're actually in my face, I can last the round. Next, we're going to go. I know that's way more than 20 inches. It's about 14 inches, which is too bad. I could actually take a shot on your caster, but your caster is camping 5 focus and has an armor of.
He's camping 4 because he gave out 2.
Yeah.
His base armor is 17, so it makes him arm 21.
So that's going to be a dice -6 shot on you.
It is boosted, though.
It is boosted. That means I can do 18. That means I can't kill you in 1 shot, though.
No, you definitely can't kill me in 1 shot.
Definitely. Even if I roll,
a bit of a hurting.
I could put a bit of a hurting, which is going to make you reconsider your life. that's really important because it's super hard to hide that caster.
But you do give up the shot on the...
But I give a shot up on the Enigma Foundry. The Enigma Foundry, is the Enigma Foundry more important than causing a hurt on your caster? The reality is, I know my roles. And I know that the reality is I probably can't do more than 2 or 3 damage on your caster this round. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick with my original plan. Yeah, it's probably not the wisest, and this may be what loses me the game at this point, but we're going to move the defender forward. We're going to move the defender forward as 5. We'll use the accuracy template. So I don't know if that if all of that talkie helped anybody, but it was just me talking through my plan. So the biggest question is when I move my defender, do I want to put him within charge range? Because if I move him that far forward,
he's within charge range.
He's within charge range of everybody. That's the other.
You don't have to move him as full 5.
Well, I don't have to move him as full 5, but the reality is I know. Let's see. I'm going to measure my caster's control range.
Hey, there you go.
Which I can do at any time. So that is 12 inches, and I've got at least another 2 inches. So you know what? The reality is, in order for the defender to get his shot off,
he's got to move.
He's got to stand. He's got to move at least 4. I'd say, for safety's sake, 4.5. It's going to put him wide out in the open unless something awesome happens. Well, the name of the game is play with balls, so let's go.
Go up your 5.
Let's go up to 5, which puts me pretty darn close to the flag, which is pretty sweet. Flags can't block line of sight.
No, they cannot.
They are just an object.
They are incorporeal.
So you can't stop on them, but you can move through them.
Yeah, you can do everything except stand where they are.
All right, so we're going to take our shot. Let's see if we can hit the Enigma Foundry. Oh, he's well within the 14. I probably didn't need to move up nearly as far as I did.
You have line of sight.
I have line of sight. We could show you that with the laser. Do we have the laser?
Yep.
You may as well. We may as well show you that I have line of sight with the laser, so we can see that I have a clear from my base to his base. I have a clear line of sight. Actually, I have quite a bit of line of sight on him.
Well, also remember the medium bases do not block line of sight.
That's right.
Smaller size.
So, and now I'm going to use boosted dice because I have the focus to do it. I have 1 shot, and this guy's probably going to get turned into Robo Paste after this round.
Oh, yes. Well,
you're hoping. So I have a rat of 6. What is your defense?
10.
So I need a 4 to hit you.
On 3 days.
No problemo. So that's a hit.
Yep.
So I rolled a 6, 7, 8, 9 plus 5. That's 14. That's 4 over his 10. So we're good to go. You don't have any location in this dude.
Nope.
This is a POW 15.
And I'm an ARM 18.
So this will be dice minus 3. This is just how we do math. It's not how everybody does math.
Most
War Machine players do it this way. So so I'm going to hope for a nice high roll because you've got like, what, 8, 9 hit points, 10 hit points? That's not a super high roll, but it's
9 of the 10.
9 of the 10, so I almost took you out. Okay, so that's the defender's activation. Now I have to activate Old Rowdy. Here's the trick. I do not want Old Rowdy to end up base to base with the defender. The reason being is you're going to charge in with something on the defender and Old Rowdy's going to get counter charge. So I want to leave at least 3 inches between me and the defender and give you something to worry about at the same time. So does counter charge work within, do I have to be facing you to get counter charge?
It has to satisfy all the normal charge rules.
Okay, so
you have to be, it has to be in your front arc.
Yeah.
It has to be a valid charge. You have to not be engaged, all the normal stuff.
Yep. So, I mean, in all honesty, Old Rowdy's in a pretty good position for the counter charge I'm going to get on whoever it is that he ends up charging up. What he's probably going to do is charge up all of his little mini dudes, I'd say. Which means that Old Rowdy's counter charge ain't going to matter squat at this point. But I can choose who I counter charge as well.
Yes, you can wait. It is what they call a may effect. Not a have to.
So, yeah, I have some options at this point. Old Rowdy could block some lines of sight, but he's not going to do that. We're just going to move Old Rowdy up and leave him sort of facing that direction so that I can charge whoever gets there. Secondly, we're going to move the Centurion. Centurion moves 4. Where did I put my handy dandy? Where did I put my handy dandy template? That's weird. I lost my handy dandy template. I know. So we're going to move the Centurion up. The Centurion is going to activate his star power, which gives him polarity C.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Yeah, all kinds of other nasty effects.
Oh, he has set defense.
Oh, he doesn't have set defense. Nope.
He has the other one. He has powerful charge.
Yep. Nope, no, he has critical sustained attack on that
Oh,
spear.
he has sustained.
Okay, finally we have the Black 13th. Black 13th are just going to go and give George something to think about with his life. So first things first, I believe their movement's 6. So we will go exactly where I thought we would end up. We want to give her that. So donk. Donk. She just needs to be able to see, or he needs to be able to see something. Note to people who are designing tables, try not to put big pits in the table for models to fall over on.
Hey, at least I filled in over.
Okay, so the nice thing about these guys is they have some different options. I'm going to take some pot shots.
Is it snipe time?
It's snipe time, and I have, I believe, a line of sight from at least Ryan. Yeah, she doesn't have a line of sight, so she's going to take a shot off on your caster.
All right.
And Watts is going to take a shot on
Foundry.
in the Foundry, and
Ryan, I think, is caster too.
Lynch is going to take. Lynch is so Lynch is I believe the only one who can get a shot off on the Foundry. So we'll start with, or no, yeah, Lynch. Lynch is the boss man. He has a rat of 8. We're going to use brutal damage. Do I snipe? It looks like I'm going to need to snipe.
Yeah, you've only got, what, 10 inches?
10 inches on that, so I think I'm going to need the 14. So unfortunately, so I'm going to measure my 14. Yep, no problem.
Did you need
Good.
it?
I needed it.
Okay.
I needed about 1.5 inches. So I don't get, that's 8. And your defense?
10.
10. So I need a 2 to hit. That's a hit. I wish that had been my damage roll. So this is a power, it's only power 10. So
Dice minus 8.
dice minus 8. I need 9 to kill. 6. 8 damage. So I'm off by the 1. Almost got him. It was a nice try.
It was, I kind of figured it was a good try.
Okay, so we'll continue with Watts, Watts has some powers. I might use one of Watts's. Or sorry, Lynch. Sorry, Lynch has, no, Watts is the one that gives Prowl. Lynch just gets all the powers. And, yeah, that's a...
I think just snipe shot at this point.
I don't have anything that provides concealment at this point, so the best I can do is we'll try, he's in the back, so he definitely needs snipe. He'll take a shot on your caster.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to measure the 14. Yep, no problem. And
Def 14.
so I need
6 to hit.
6 to hit.
That will do it.
That will
Even
do
though
it.
he fell over.
Even though he fell over doing it. It was that good a shot! Oh!
So my armor is 17. I'm sitting on 4 focus, which brings my armor up to 21.
Okay, so in order to do any damage, I need double 6s. Nope, not going to do it. But I may as well take the shot because I've got it. Last but not least, Ryan is going to just try to pop one of your little dudes.
Mm-hmm.
She gets 2 shots. Her first shot, we're going to just do a straight shot just to see if I can hit.
So who are you shooting at?
That guy,
Okay.
and he's within 10 inches. So this is a good way for me to find out the distance so I don't waste the aim. So this will be the crit brutal. Oh, not crit brutal, just brutal damage. So she's an 8.
They're at 12.
12.
The reductors.
No problem to hit. She gets brutal damage. I'm sure that their armor is redunculously high at the moment.
Nope. 14.
14, so this will be dice minus 4, but I have 3 dice.
Oh, I'm sorry. I picked the wrong one. They're 16.
16, so dice minus 6 on 3 dice. So that's 4 damage.
4 damage.
She gets a second shot. That's a hit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dang! Why weren't you the roll I needed last round? Okay,
Kill.
So that's it for me. I believe my activation is complete, and this guy goes back to standing on the edge like this. Something. And yeah, George, it's all you.
Alrighty. So, first thing, I clear the focus of shame and put my caster back up to a 6. I'm going to measure my control area because I want to see
If he can charge.
whether my caster is just going to straight up kill yours.
Oh, you're going for the assassination right off round 2?
Well, I have beatback on my caster. So every time I hit, I can push you back an inch.
Right.
I'm going to go on a limb and say your caster is 3 inches behind your defender. So if I bash your defender 3 times back, and then I can just reach over and smack your caster in the face.
Yep.
Well, how many focus does your caster?
Only 1. So yeah, you've got a good assassination vector there. He is defense right now. He's blurred, but that doesn't help me against your... that would only be against ranged and magic attacks.
Yes, usually.
Yep. And so that doesn't help him. So he is defense 16. So he is actually super hard to hit on top of that.
Now I just want to read beat back to make sure I'm not cheating. Immediately after a normal attack with this weapon is resolved during this model's combat action, the enemy model hit can be pushed back 1 inch directly away from the attacking model. After the enemy model is pushed, the attacking model can advance up to 1 inch. And he has double strike. This model can make 2 additional attacks for each focus point spent to make additional attacks with this weapon.
So in this case, what George is doing is he's going straight for the assassination. Really smart move. The only problem with this is he's probably going to camp all his focus. I can expect that to happen, which means he'll be able to get 12 attacks with that insanity. So there's 2 things that could happen, though. He could charge forward and not quite have the range he needs, or he could fail on a couple of his hits, which could screw him up royally. The beatback, will that knock me down as well?
No.
So you'll just be able to come in and hit me. So you're not going to get the advantage of that either. And the biggest problem with this move for new players is it's an all or nothing move. If he fails,
If I fail
game.
this,
Yeah.
Well, I have a backup plan, but it's not a good backup plan because it leaves me in base to base with no extra focus with a Warcaster, and even though Striker's sort of middle of the road, he can still easily destroy stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those, like, it's a great option because you've got it, and always go for an assassination if you've got a clear vector, but he just has to make that consideration. It's all or nothing, and the reality is he probably will kill me.
1, 2, and then 10 more. Can I do it with 12 attacks? I don't think I need to.
Remember, you need to boost against, to hit him, you're going to need to boost.
Striker?
Yeah.
He's what?
16.
16?
Defense.
Well, what's his armor?
15. He's still a 16 defense.
Yeah, but I'm a 14.
Still need
Power 14. Yeah, so I'm going to have to boost a hit, but I don't have to boost damage.
But that's going to burn some of those 12 attacks. It's going to burn 2 for every
it burns
boost.
2 for 1. Why not?
Hey, how often do you get a assassination run on turn 2?
Top of 2 assassination run. Oh, just out of curiosity, have you checked to see whether you're in the kill box from this side?
Oh, I'm good. I'm totally good.
I know you're fine on the back.
No, I'm totally good.
Okay.
No, the thing about kill boxes is...
as long as you think about it at least once.
Well, the reality is, and I don't know if... The one thing that I've drilled into myself is being able to sort of perceive distances, and I know that the edge of that house is totally safe, so...
Okay, well, I think I might as well try this assassination run.
Absolutely.
It doesn't really affect the rest of it other than I will probably lose. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to allocate 1 to this guy. And I'm just going to put the rest of this one there.
So, as you may have noticed, he's already burned 2 attacks just by allocation, so...
Yeah. Well, that's why I was considering whether I needed 12 attacks or 14 attacks. Yeah. Because I am going to waste, I'm going to say at least 3 attacks getting to you.
Yep.
And maybe more. I'm gonna waste at least my initials getting to you,
Yep.
if nothing else.
And you're going to need to spend focus to get that second attack.
Well, no, I have 2 initials.
2 initials, okay.
So I'm gonna spend my 2 initials, and then I will probably have to buy one more set of 2 to get
Right.
there.
Right,
And,
and
then
then
I will have to buy another one and boost both of those to hit.
And you have to hope that
to
every...
do those hits.
Yeah.
Now I'm a mat 7, so it's pretty good on the defender. I only need 5.
Yeah.
But on striker, I still need to boost.
Yeah, the tilt's totally in my direction on striker.
Absolutely. That's why we have focus.
Yep.
To fix stuff like that. So now that I've done that, we're going to start by activating the monitor. The monitor is going to move up behind striker, or behind Axis, and he's going to spend 1 to push him, and he's going to allocate that to him. So a push is one of the power attacks nobody ever does. So we should probably read push just.
Oh yeah, power attacks are something that everybody forgets. The thing is that power attacks sacrifice a lot, but they can also give you a lot strategically. So, yeah, and it's something that neither George or I are good at, so you'll see us use them just because.
Model making a push power attack uses the bulk of its strength to shove another model. Push power attack automatically hits, deals no damage. Both models roll a d6, add their strength. If the defender's total is greater, it resists being pushed. If the attacker's total equals or exceeds the defender's, defending model is pushed 1 inch directly away from the attacker.
So you need to roll to make sure that that push happens.
After a model is pushed by a push power attack, the attacker can immediately advance towards the push model up to a distance the model pushed was moved.
Yep.
So basically, both models move forward 1 inch. I don't actually know that I have to, because it's a friendly model. I think he can just choose to be pushed.
That is up for contention. We'll discuss that. If anybody who's watching the stream knows, feel free to comment.
It would be a good thing to know.
I would personally assume that you can, but that's
Yeah.
logic, and logic is not always part of the game.
Yes, that has happened more times.
I mean, in that by that
Like this should have no effect because he's a 7 and he's a 12.
Yeah.
So I would have to roll what 1 on the jack and at least a 6 on the person.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be fine.
Yeah, I'm sure it's fine.
So I rolled a 1 on my caster, so that's a non-issue because now the jack can do nothing but be massively faster. If you give me the 6-inch template there.
Yep, certainly.
Because its small end is 1 inch. So what we can do is we can move this guy 1 inch forward.
So what George has done using the push is he's trying to make that attack vector a little bit closer because he knows that he's just out.
I assume, after I've done all my calculations, that I would just make it. But for 1 focus, I can be certain that I will make it. And I think it was worth the 1 focus to not be just out of reach.
Absolutely.
And be standing in front of every jack you had and take a counterattack.
Absolutely. Well, yeah.
All right. So next thing that is going to happen is I'm going to activate my little friend here, the Enigma Foundry. He's going to move over his movement. And he is going to spend his 1 focus to put a guy back into formation here. So all that damage you did is gone.
Of course, but I had 1 shot with those guys. They may as well have taken it.
Yep. All right. So it's within the 3 inches of the Enigma Foundry, and it's within the unit cohesion, so it's fine. Right. So next, I think the Reciprocators are going to flip over to Empowered Attack, and they're going to receive a Run Charge Order. So I'll put that token near whoever it ends with. So the first one I have to do is I have to charge Old Rowdy.
Yes, because you want Old Rowdy engaged so he can't counter
So
charge.
he can't countercharge. So I can't charge him.
No.
So basically, we're doing a lot of charging Old Rowdy.
Yeah.
I have a 5-inch move plus 3. So that's 8 inches, but I also have reach. So that actually gives me 10
Yeah,
inches.
so we often talk about, while George is moving his models, we often talk about threat range. and you'll hear us say the word threat range. And what we're talking about is we're trying to calculate the amount a model can move plus its reach or its range on its gun. That gives us a idea of how big a distance we have between ourselves and our target where we can hurt them. Calculating threat range is, I think it's a super important thing from a strategy point of view for not just calculating yourself but your opponent. It gives me an idea of the threat range of his guys. Like, for example, these last two guys, yeah, they can't. I know that those last two guys are not going to be able to charge in and do any damage, so they're just going to come and run in and engage me and try to surround me. This guy can run at me, he just can't charge.
That's correct. So, I have 4 guys that are within reach and are able to make their attacks.
Mm-hmm.
They're a mat 7. Your defense is a 12, I believe?
On old Rowdy, yes, his defense is 12.
Okay. So, I need to hit 5 to hit.
You do.
So, we'll start working our way around.
Yep.
So
that's one hit.
That's a 6. That's a hit.
Okay, currently his arm is 20 plus 3 because of Arcane Shield, so he's 23.
23, all right. So they're using a powered attack, so they're 14's base.
Mm-hmm.
So that's dice minus 9.
So on the charge.
Yes.
The nice thing is he gets an extra die because he's charging. And whenever you charge, oh, ouch.
So
that's nothing on the first one.
So the second one, need a 5 to hit. That's a hit. There's no critical effect on that weapon. Dice minus 9. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No damage on the second one. Was that the third one?
That's the
hit
second.
No damage. Hit no damage, yeah. So this is the third one. 6 is a hit. Dice minus 9. Oh, that's actually
There we
damage.
go. So 3 damage to the 1.
And the last guy. 3 is a miss.
That's a miss. So not bad at all. Could have asked for better from old Rowdy at this point. I really would have liked to have got that counter charge that I know I'm about to take to the face.
Now, remember, one of the things about my jacks is that because I'm there with Axis, they also have counter charge.
Yeah. And I can't really counter charge out of his thing. I'm engaged, and that's actually part of the rules is that cannot counter charge. I believe it says cannot counter charge.
Yeah, if you're engaged, you can't counter charge.
Yeah.
All right, so the
cannot counter charge while engaged.
Next, the Obstructors are going to run. They are going to run their 10. And they're just going to cloud up around this objective.
All right, so you notice that he's clouding up around the objective. This is a problem. We were talking to a relatively new player this week, or today, at our good old gaming store, and he was saying that he never goes for objectives, and that's valid. A lot of people love doing assassinations, and assassinations feel awesome when you get them to happen.
So do.
You do get less points for them generally in a tournament setting.
Yeah.
So that's something to keep in mind. If you can win by objective all the time, super awesome. But that doesn't mean to ignore objectives. I will tell you personally that I have won easily all of my objective games. I have won because the other player has ignored objective. If I'm going to win on objective, it's usually because the other player just didn't bother playing the objective. Yeah. Okay, so you've moved those guys. You've moved.
Yeah. The idea behind that cloud is that almost every model is within 4 inches, so even if you kill half of them, you won't be able to score any points on that.
Absolutely, yep.
All right.
And so far, we've really shown that I really should have gone for the assassination on his caster, because if I had done 13 points of damage to him this round, you wouldn't even be considering this.
No. Well, no,
maybe,
I still would have.
Maybe, yeah.
I'm nuts.
Yeah.
Next, my caster's going to activate.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he is going to feat.
Oh, yes.
His feat gives him +2 speed and +2 strength.
I'd like you all to reflect back on the moment I decided not to feat this round.
And, yes, I was very happy. Actually, that is the thing that would have caused me to not run this.
Yeah.
Because +2 strength makes me hit at +1 with a boosted attack.
Yeah.
So the hope is that I get into you and I can get at least 2 boosted to hit attacks. because I'm doing automatic 1 damage. The dice play me out at 7 each. That's 14. What is Striker? He's 15, I think.
Striker is a armor or defense?
Hit points, sorry.
Hit points? Oh, he's 17.
17?
He's actually a pretty tough cast.
Yeah, he's pretty tough. So I need to statistically do 2 extra damage, and then I'm fine.
Yep.
If I'm really lucky and all the numbers work out for me and my 1-inch moves are good, then I can
all right.
scooch around no problem.
The big thing is let's get this happening.
Okay.
Let's see if this works.
+2 to my speed.
Yep.
So I'm now a speed 7, +3 for the 10. So I'm going to charge that defender. And I now know that I have the 10 inches directly to your face.
Absolutely. Yep.
And
you have one issue.
what?
You got to remember that whatever you do. Yep. All right.
So, not to stand on the flag is what you're going to say?
Not stand on the flag, but you have one other problem. Well, I guess it's not a problem because you need to push. Yeah. So
I have to push him out of the way so I can not stand on the flag.
Exactly. So this is the important thing is I'm hoping that after all of this happens, that because he has to push the defender directly back, that this may end up stymieing your attack. With your reach, you should be fine. But you will need.
Well, remember, I'm a medium base. I can just step into that hole.
That's true. That's true.
Right.
But you'd have to move then, and
I'm going to get a free 1-inch move every time.
Oh, that's right. You get a 1-inch move, but you may end up having to do.
I might have to buy one too many attacks.
Yeah.
Is the big.
That's the big thing.
Is,
that's what I'm hoping for because I might survive 1 attack, but I might survive 1, maybe 2, but I doubt I'll be able to survive 3.
All right. So I charge for free.
Yep. Because he's a caster.
I'm at 7.
All human warrior or all warrior models get to do that for free.
That's correct.
You don't have to spend focus.
So I need a 5 to hit.
Yep. That's a 6.
That's a hit.
So
let's resolve some damage first.
Yes, sir.
I am a 17.
Okay, so you are hitting the defender.
Yeah.
Who has crap on him right now. He is
sorry, I'm a 16.
I'm an 18. So
Action
it's
and reaction are 14s +2.
dice -2.
Dice -2. So 4 damage to the 4.
Okay, that's not so bad.
And you're pushed an inch back.
We will be
directly away.
We want to be super accurate with
I'm
this.
pretty sure it's.
So this is an inch. So we're going to be super accurate about that.
Here's the thing. It's not straight back, right? It's back through both of these center books.
That's what I mean. It's not straight back as in straight behind me. That's what I was saying
directly
about.
Away.
It's directly away.
And if I have positioned correctly, your base should just pass by strikers.
The hope is that it doesn't. That's what I'm really hoping for.
And so I move up.
But of course, I've mentioned it. I probably shouldn't have said anything because now he's thinking about it. So you can actually, one of the things, this actually should come up now, talking to you guys, one of the things that you can do to ensure that those things happen as a good player is to say, I am putting myself in a position that forces your jack directly back so that this happens. Now, the thing is, at that point, you've stated it.
You're stuck.
You have to do that. But the reality is that also stops the other player from going, well, you didn't position properly. Because you said, look, I stated that was my point. It's the same thing this came up because of Colossals.
Yes.
Do you want to check to see what they're banging us about, just in case that's it? Telling us that we're not feeding?
No, I think it's Facebook.
Oh, okay. It came up with Colossals because of that center line. When you're shooting with the Colossal, you have a left arc and a right arc, and the problem with the left arc and the right arc is that if you're shooting something that's on your left arc, even if it's slightly off if it's mostly into the left arc, you can't shoot with the right arc unless you're centered on them. So you state that you're centering, and then nobody can argue.
By the way, 4 minutes ago, the models that we were trying to acquire this morning had arrived.
Bastards! Did my Cephalix show up as well?
I don't know.
Yeah.
He just said they're on the
Thanks,
shelf.
Scott.
He said they're on the shelf. They should be in the system in a couple of minutes. All right, so second.
Wow, that's good. We were going to stay till 3 o'clock, so.
Second free attack.
Yep, second free attack.
5 is a hit.
5 is just a hit. Damn it! This is what I was hoping he would miss.
So now, before you move him back, one of the things about beatback is that it is a May.
So you can choose at this point whether you're going to or not.
Now,
but you still get the 1-inch move.
Yes, and it doesn't have to be straight ahead.
No, you can just slide around the base.
So I am going to slide an inch towards your caster.
All right. And we're going to, once again, we're pulling out the accuracy marker.
Now here's something we can also do, is we can lift up the back end of that jack and stick that template underneath. You can just put it in base to base with me.
Yep.
And now that way you can get an accurate measurement around it.
Now the reason why I want this to be accurate for notes to everybody else is because this is my one chance for everything to go wrong for him, because all he's getting is an inch. So that is where you can end up. And that is where you want to be. I'm guessing you want to face me.
Yeah, I want to have both of you in my front arc.
Okay, so now you have both of us in your front arc.
Okay.
I am guessing
so
that's
you're probably still out of the 1/2 inch, so I'm going to.
But you have reach.
I don't think
I thought you said you had reach on that caster. Okay, so he's out of the 1/2 inch.
Yeah.
Now here's the cool part, guys, is I'm pinning all my hopes on this building at this point. Now what he's going to try to do is push me back again. Now that I mentioned it, he now wants to push me directly back this way.
Push you back this way,
Yep.
and then move up my way.
I'm just trying to burn his. I'm trying to burn his attacks.
Well, I have to make an extra attack anyway.
That's true. That's true.
So I will spend one of my focus to buy 2 extra attacks.
Yep. And those attacks don't have to be against the same opponent.
I just get 2 additional attacks.
I'm being annoying here because I'm about to be assassinated, and I want to make sure I'm luring the hell out of him.
So that's a hit.
Yeah, that's a hit. So
I'm going to push your jack back an inch, and I'm going to move towards your caster an inch.
I will point out your fuck up. You did not do your damage for your last attack.
Well, we haven't finished this attack yet. I haven't made a second one.
No, this is your second. You did your damage. You hit on your second.
On the
made
second.
your move. Forgot your damage. Too bad. So sad. Oh, look, the defender's like super awesome and happy because for some reason you decided to bring a pillow to a gunfight. All right, so we move.
Literally, he's got
Move
the gun.
one back.
And I'm going to move an inch towards your caster while missing the house.
Yep. Now, because you're doing that inch, you have parry, I'm assuming.
No, but I'm not leaving anybody's front arc.
Yeah, right. You're not leaving anybody's front arc. So, oops. I'm going to measure. Yeah, you have no problem. So you're going to end up like there.
Alrighty. So let's do some damage.
Yeah, you should do some damage to the defender now.
I'm a 16. It's dice minus 1, I believe.
Dice minus 2.
Dice minus 2. So
That sucks.
a mere 10 damage.
I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. I'd like to remind you that I won this game last time we did it, but suddenly the stream was lost.
Well, we still have it. I could stitch it together and do a time lapse.
Oh, sure. Now you're feeling guilty.
It's just, the recording is so bad. Well, we've got most.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Stryker is now about to feel the beatdown of beatdowns. Do you really have 4 focus left?
Yeah. I've only got 1 set of attacks.
Oh, God.
And I still have an attack pending.
Why didn't I feed this round?
I'm not 100% sure.
Well,
I was sure you were going to do it because it's like, I have a lot of range.
It was round 1.
If I had wanted to just whittle down your force, what I would have done was feated at the beginning.
Yeah.
Because then all of these guys would have had +2 movement and all could have run up.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're about to witness the Stryker beatdown because Gorax is too wimpy to frickin'
Gorax?
Miffed Gorax is too wimpy to pop his feet because he thought he'd need it next round once. I didn't expect you to go for an assassination. I honestly, I'm behind a wall of frickin' jacks.
And I'm like, get out of my way.
Yeah, exactly. Him. So I can't assume that you're going to go for an assassination. So go for it, dude.
So
it's a 16.
16. I'm a 7, so I need a 9 to hit.
You need a 9 to hit. That's not going to. That's a miss. Miss on attack 1.
So I will buy another 2 attacks and boost the first attack. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
That's 1 hit. Mm-hmm.
So
arm 16.
And I am 16 as well. So this is straight dice.
Straight dice. Are you boosting?
No.
Okay.
No. I'm like,
damn it.
8 damage.
8 damage. Okay. It's not over till it's over, folks.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna boost to hit the second attack.
Boosting to hit his last attack. He needs a 9 to hit, ladies and gentlemen.
That's exactly what I rolled.
9. Wow. He rolled 2 9s. So
how many do I need to kill?
you are going to need to do 9 damage to kill. So more than you did last time. And you rolled pretty good. You only have 2 dice.
9 to kill.
That
5 is not gonna
isn't
hit.
going to do it. All right.
How many left?
He's sitting on 4 hit points right now.
4 hit points.
All right, so what's happened is he's activated everybody but one guy. I do have Blur still up, and I'm engaged.
So
He's got
I'm
one.
gonna check my 10 inches.
Yeah.
I have it. Because he's part of my battle group, so he gets +2 speed and +2 strength.
Mm-hmm.
So he can make that run, or that charge.
But yeah, but you have to charge in a straight line and be able to get to me.
Yeah, the
And
question is whether I can put a large base right there,
Ah, I see.
right?
Mm-hmm. And still be able to not stand on the flag and...
Well, that's what I mean. That's
Yeah.
the big thing, is the not standing on the flag.
Yep. And you are not starting in my back arc, so...
Oh, heck no, no.
I've actually turned... He's been turned because of your giant hammer a little bit, too.
Oh, okay.
So he's got one chance to do this last 4 damage. He's got 1 jack left to activate, and he's got to hope that everything works out perfectly.
The question is, do I 7 inches and shoot him
Here's the
at
problem.
the higher defense?
You can't...
I can just ground pounder his ass, right? And then boost a hit. It's only a power 12, so it's dice
Yeah.
-4. How many points do I have to do for damage?
Ground pounder is a ranged attack.
Yep.
So you need
I
to...
have to boost a hit anyway,
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's cool. Go for it.
right? Because
Mhm.
I'm, oh god, what am I, like a rat 2?
Yep.
Or something? Rat 2.
Okay.
And you'd be a 16 plus 3 for blur or 2 for blur?
Blur is plus... blur. Plus 3.
Plus 3.
And
So
I'm
that's a
engaged.
19
And engaged.
and engaged. Yeah. I think that's statistically impossible now. 18, 20. Yeah, it's actually impossible.
And I have cover from the building.
Well, cover doesn't matter. It's a ground pounder.
I'm just pulling every different thing out of my hat
Yes.
I possibly can.
Uh,
So things to remember. Engaged gives me +2 to my defense. If the cover mattered, but because it's ground pounder, it doesn't ignore his cover. Is that the deal with ground pounder? It ignores cover?
I don't think so.
Because I have cover from you and I'm engaged.
No. Because it's coming down from. It ignores concealment, elevation, and stealth.
So it doesn't ignore
Doesn't
cover.
ignore cover.
So yeah, it's...
Yeah,
you-
it's impossible to hit.
You cannot hit me.
At range, anyway.
So the best he's got, really, I shouldn't have said anything. I should have let him move forward, do his ground pounder. But we're trying to be as open as humanly possible at this point so that you can see as many options as humanly possible. But I may start shutting up until after the fact from now on.
Real tempting to kill some of the Black 13.
Well, yeah, because right now they're all
They're-
going to
they're all
activate
in
in your back arc,
Yeah.
and they're all in range, and they're all mat 8, and you have no focus.
I have probably dead.
Well, I would think so.
Your dice
You have
dice
it.
have to go very
The
bad.
one thing you may have forgotten:
Yeah, no, I didn't forget the
defender in your face.
Yeah. Well, every focus you give the defender is a focus you don't have. And I'm kind of okay with that.
Yeah.
Because you are actually more dangerous than that defender.
So, are you taking care of the Black 13th?
Well, I think I'm going to inconvenience the Black 13.
Mm-hmm. So he's going to run up. I'm guessing.
He's going to charge.
Oh, he's going to charge.
Can-
Okay.
Might as well get the
This
extra
isn't.
die.
This isn't a terrible thing. This is not a terrible thing.
Well, it also shields me, and if either of those two guys try and walk away, they die.
Yeah.
Because you cannot survive that attack.
Do they have reach? He has reach.
No, he should be within
Oh, so
half
the-
inch of both guys.
So the nice thing is,
So
I
that
have,
guy can move.
yeah, that guy can move.
Yeah. All right. You're only mat 18 or something?
The
Defense 18,
yeah,
I mean.
that's what I was saying. I'm not really worried. Their defense 15.
15?
Yep.
So I need 7 to hit. No, 8 to hit. Sorry.
Engaged is +4 versus against range. Yeah, thank you very much. Absolutely, that was the last thing. So this is one of the things that actually we've been discussing a lot of. Go ahead and roll.
6 ain't gonna do it.
6 ain't gonna do it. One of the things both of us are terrible at is remembering the bonuses
All the
for
bonuses.
defense. And I think we're actually, I think we should do is create our little cheat cards. You've got 2 already developed. We should put them on a sheet, and we should make them able to be
Printable,
printed out by our audience, because I think that they're infinitely useful. So let's add that to our to-do list, your to-do list, because you make beautiful things. All right, George. You're done.
Yep, that's what I said, didn't it? Sorry.
Yeah, I know. I'm just relishing in the moment of your doneness and how amazing the doneness is.
So this is the cheat sheet he's talking about, and I'm not sure if you can see it. Oop, should go this way.
So yeah.
So as you can see, it's got the concealment, all the different bonuses on it.
Okay. So this is going to be a really cool turn for me. So I have some problems with this whole situation. One, Old Rowdy is tied up. If I move away,
You're taking 1, 2, 3, 4, POW 14 fully boosted.
yeah, the only thing that I do have from Old Rowdy that could be really, really sweet is I could activate my imprint and move away. And as every one of your attacks, I get to counterattack, which I could technically wipe out everybody.
Yeah, but then
I'd take a lot of hits.
Well, not only would you take a lot of hits, but then you can't go anywhere else because you're counterattacking.
Absolutely, absolutely. But the cool part is that it would give me 4 attacks for free.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
And the nice thing is with
actually, no. I think it would give you 2 attacks.
oh, you're right. It's one it's one normal melee attack.
No, but you don't have reach, so at least 2 of those guys you can't.
And I only get 1 with Grudge. It expires after that. So, but it would actually give me 2 attacks, which might be kind of sweet. The other thing I might do is just do a power attack for the fun of it and throw somebody, just because I never get to do that.
What you need to do is pick up one of those guys and throw it at my caster and knock him down, and you never miss.
Yeah, and that's the hard part about that is going to be that I need to spend a focus to do that.
Yeah, and every focus that you bleed off your caster is 1 less that's damaging me.
Well, here's the big thing. We're going to let Blur drop.
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
And I'm going to have to let Arcane Shield drop because I need these focus. So that actually brings Old Rowdy down to 19. We're going to give 1 focus to Old Rowdy. We're going to give 3 to my defender. We're going to keep 2 because I'm probably going to need them. This is going to be my feet turn. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Where's my little feet coin? I don't even know where it went. It's around here somewhere.
I think it might be under the house.
How did it end up? Nope.
No, I thought it was under that.
Oh, too bad. It's my feet turn. Okay, so this is cool. So we described George's feat. The feat for Striker is, I personally think it's one of the most usable feats in the game. It's always useful in every game. Invincibility, this gives everybody +5 arm for 1 round. With this particular list, it's also ridiculous. Because most of these guys will be sitting 23, 24. My caster is going to be 19 +2 right now. So yeah, that gives you some survivability, to say the least. Okay. So I guess first things first, let's see if the defender can do his business.
So you've allocated him 3?
I've allocated him 3.
Okay.
So he's going to get 4 attacks on you. And, what is your current defense?
14.
So
+2. Well, I'm in melee, but it doesn't. I assume you're not going to shoot at me. I assume you're going
oh, hell no. He's going to beat on you with a hammer.
Yeah. So defense 14.
Okay, so the nice thing about the defender is he's actually pretty good in hand-to-hand combat. He's a mat 7.
Really?
So I only need 7s to hit you. That's still, so there's a consideration to be done here. So let's talk a bit about, quickly, while I'm thinking about this, we're going to talk a bit about law of averages. So for me to roll above 7 is like
58.3%.
58%. I have a 58% chance to
On
roll
2 dice.
on 2 dice to roll above 7. That's actually pretty good.
Yep.
And you got to remember that
3 dice, it goes to 90%.
yeah, if I spend 1, that'll boost me up to 90%. But at this particular juncture, I kind of just want to hit you.
More hits.
More hits equal more damage. And with the shock hammer is a 16, so it's going to be straight damage.
You are at -2 to your strength.
Oh,
Shock hammer, when it goes
because
down,
of your
goes
feet.
14.
Okay, so it'll be -2. Dice -2. Yeah, we're going to try to roll the 7s off the top. Okay, we're going to try to roll 7s. I don't have a lot of faith. That'll do it.
Apparently.
I should, apparently.
So,
Okay.
are you going to boost or are you going to stay?
Well, here's the thing, is I know that it's actually difficult for me to hit. But I know I could take you out in one hit right now if I boosted it.
I have 18 hit points.
So it's actually statistically impossible for me to take you out in one hit. I need more than one hit. So let's, well, what did we say? Dice -3?
Yeah.
Okay, so I got to hope for a good roll. That's not a great roll. So 3 damage. So I'm starting to regret not boosting. Going to buy my second attack. That's a hit. That's a 10, so that's a very palpable hit. Now I have to reconsider because I can do 2 more hits. A lot of averages says I'm going to do more damage per hit if I do more hits as opposed to boosting at this point. I can only gain a maximum of 6, an average of 3, but I can do something like 6 average if I roll just 2 dice per hit, something along those lines, if I'm just doing my math correctly. All right, so this is dice -3. That's a little bit better. That's 6 damage.
All right.
I'm going to buy another attack. Always remember to pick up your focus as you're buying attacks. Don't do it after the fact. Leads to confusion. That's a hit. At least I'm hitting.
Yeah. Dice -3.
That is 5 damage.
5 damage. Nice.
What are we up to?
Well, you've got 4 left.
4 left. So I need this one to hit. I need to do 4 hit points. So I'm buying my last attack, and I'm pretty much guaranteed this one won't hit. Oh, I'm wrong. It's actually a critical too.
Quick hammer could knock me down.
It's not. It's not a defender has the cortex damage. You don't have a cortex.
Oh, okay. Dice -3.
4 damage.
There you go.
That, sir, is a win.
Good game.
I'm sorry about your assassination run. Was brilliant.
Well, you see, I had to let you win so that.
Oh, right, yeah.
Be the same
Oh,
as the
I
last
see.
one.
Take away the glory. Psychological warfare is a thing. So I think let's. I mean, this is a long podcast. We're obviously going to break it into 2 parts. I think we've been at 2 hours going so far. Let's. So we have time to talk about this. We're gonna. It's our post ramble for this evening. We're not in a big rush. Let's take a look at quickly about some of the things that went right and some of the things that went wrong. So this was 2 rounds and an assassination. We didn't even get to the point. Were we even at the point where we were starting to calculate?
We would have scored this turn.
Scored this turn, so nobody was going to.
Sorry, scored on your turn because it was second player, second turn.
Yeah, so we didn't even get to scoring at this point. This was just. I think that you, with this caster, we talked about this last time you played this caster, he has to be up front. And you played it. From my perspective, you played him a lot better this time than you did last time.
Yeah. I think I had to use 1 too many focus going around the mulberry bush there.
I also think you completely discounted how difficult it is to hit somebody with a 16.
Well, I figured
defense.
I was going to have to boost all of them, and that's what I did. Like
even boosted.
It was the damage. If the damage had come up, basically 1 higher or 2 higher.
Yeah, 2 higher for the 2 attacks it hit.
Yeah, if I'd rolled 1 extra one on each die, then I would have been fine.
Absolutely.
Now, obviously, dice should not enter into it. That's why I should have planned my attack to actually. You
needed what I think. If I had played it your way, what I would have done was I would have actually given 1 more hit on the defender to get him completely out of the way, so that you now could attack both of us and leave a clear path for your Jack to get in.
In hindsight, what I would have done is pushed my caster, inducted over to my other Jack, pushed my caster another inch, so that I could have ended up on the other side of the flag. Absolutely. And then I only needed 1 hit on the defender to get into combat.
I just don't think that you gave yourself that backup plan, and I think that's where it went wrong.
Well, my backup plan was to tie everything else up.
And you did that
The only thing
brilliantly.
I couldn't was the defender.
Yeah, the defender, unfortunately, you had to leave him base to base with you in order to make anything work.
He had to be there, or else I couldn't get to the game.
Exactly. And that forgetting to do the damage on the defender one time might have left, maybe knocked out his movement or his right arm or something along those lines that could have given you an advantage. From my perspective, again, I think I do this every time. I completely miscalculated your threat ranges. I think I did okay. At least I moved the Centurion up forward, and usually I leave everybody back too far.
Yeah.
In this case, I think everything was fine. The hardest part, this is part of that learning curve of like learning each caster. I had no idea that you'd be able to just knock the defender out of the way and slowly move yourself towards my caster. I could have easily have left him an extra inch or two behind that building. There was no reason for me to be that far out, except I wanted to give myself a clear line to the flag if I needed to. And I don't know if I feeded in the wrong turn or not. Now, yes, if I had known about your threat range, feeding would have been a good idea. But in this case, if my attack had failed,
I would have been the only thing saving you.
If the defender had failed, for example, and I had gone to only my sword being the thing between me and death, with Striker's sword being, I think he's about 12 or something ridiculous like that, I'm not going to kill you.
Yeah, it's scratching the surface.
I might be able to boost the damage, but what I probably would have done at this point was camp those 2 focus and just try to survive another round.
Yeah.
And of course, you're going to take all 8 shots on me and hope to spike it.
Oh, yeah.
But with a defense of...
But it's not 8 shots.
Yeah, right.
Right? That is the problem with access. Statistically, he's a significant problem because he has 6 focus and 2 starting attacks. So that's 14 attacks. I have to roll bad 14 times.
Yeah, and if you just do 1 damage each time. So, I mean, hopefully, yeah.
It would be the 2-hit problem.
What I probably would have done in this case was cast Arcane Shield on myself.
And just get up to armor ridiculous.
And get up. Well, except I didn't, because remember, I feeded. I actually stated the feat early on. So technically, I activated my caster.
Oh, yeah.
So I actually fucked that up. You could have easily have called that on me. I could have counteracted by saying, well, I haven't actually feated. I'll wait till this will be my feat turn. I was just stating that before. But that's kind of a dick move. It's a dick move on both sides. So it would be us discussing, oh, okay, I'll give you this buy, but you give me back that stupid move I made before. I still love this list.
Oh, yeah. No, it's a good list. I think you're putting with beatback on the table, and that's something you have to be aware of. The Titan Sentry, I want to say, has it. Tibbers has it in Scorn. There's a couple of other beatbacks. You have to be aware of them, and you have to be aware that they can move a number of inches equal to their number of attacks.
Absolutely.
I have seen a Access player walk around a Archangel and beat Veil to death by moving an inch at a time around his base.
Yeah. Well, and that's definitely an element. I think the other thing I really should have taken into account was that beatback would have been completely ineffective if I had had Old Rowdy on this side instead of the Defender. Now, the only reason I put the Defender there was because I wanted to make sure I was able to cast that.
Well, no, the beatback isn't ineffective as long as I'm engaging you.
As soon as you got him base to base, you would no longer be able to push, knock him down, move him. Or, so...
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. I go the other direction.
Sure, but remember where you pushed me to here first, then we would have been base to base, then you would have had to try to move all the way around, which would have burned up a bunch of your attacks. I'm just saying, and then both of us would have had a +2 to, I believe it's +2 to our armor at that point, which is just another ridiculous amount of armor. So I think that's something, a lesson learned.
Old Rowdy would definitely have been the better choice over there. And I don't quite know why you didn't, because Old Rowdy and Striker should be joined at the hip.
Oh, I know that.
Because they give each other such good focus.
Well, the only reason why is I wanted to put, and I think, these were decisions made, and I talked about my tactics off the top. Decisions made were, I really cared about having that Defender, make sure he had the snipe so I could be able to get that off next turn, which ended up almost taking out the Enigma Foundry.
Oh yeah, again, if you'd rolled 1 higher, that Enigma Foundry was gone, and you would have had 1 less attack. Absolutely,
and then Old Rowdy I kind of wanted in that nobody can charge because Old Rowdy will charge lane, or do exactly what he did,
which was
drag everybody in. And then he's super high, and you can't damage him when his armor's that high. I mean, you can, but it's going to be 1, 2, 3 hit points at a time, even with high rolls. So changes you'd make to your list. I'm going to say right now, again, I love this list. I don't think I'd change it. The Black 13th didn't get to play their
game.
but they're still dangerous, dude.
I
One hit
I spent 8 points
to take care of 4. Yeah. And I mean, with their brutal damage, they're basically weapon masters with their guns. They can't miss, so I can take out an entire squad of infantry pretty quickly.
Oh yes.
You know, the thing about the Centurion, I love him. I have to have him in these lists. He's a great beat tank, but he's yet to really shine for me, and I'm not sure what to. I think he's doing what he does.
The problem with the Centurion, in my estimation, is his speed. If you can figure out a way to get him in, melee attacking, and then fish for the crit with the 3 dice boost, he can destroy.
Which is probably why you see him in E. Haley lists, because she can give him that +2 bonus or telekinesis him up the board. We're getting probably deeper than our regular players. Do we have any? Enraged is +4 defense against ranged. Engaged. Right. Sorry, we already talked about that. So again, changes for your list before we go.
The only thing I might have done, I do love the reductors or the reciprocators, but I might have replaced the reciprocators with reductors, just for more cloud. And done the obstructors up front, and then reductors with POW 13 sprays behind them. They're 1 less damage theoretically than the spears. They're a 13 as opposed to a 14. But with clear and 10 of them, 10 POW 13 sprays tend to be better than 5 POW 14.
Absolutely. And you'll get I mean, I've had to deal with these guys before, and they're just nasty once you get them there. If I got rid of that Enigma Foundry and I can get the Black 13th close to them, I think they'll be a lot less effective. But, I mean, as far as a matchup, this is a bad matchup, I think, for you. I think that this particular Cygnar list is pretty well teched against you, especially if I start using Old Rowdy properly. Striker's just really hard to kill. He's just super hard to kill. So that's it for Miffed, Gorax, and Semiautomagic. How's that go again? Oh, fuck shit up, right. And once again, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our Twitch feed. If you can join us live during our Twitch feed, we'd love it. We absolutely thank you very much, Cygnar, who is our buddy Batani. We had a guy named Dr. Baloney on for a little while. Thank you, Dr. Baloney. And we have a new viewer. Trustians, thank you very much for joining us today. And if you are on our YouTube channel watching this right now, please take the time to, if you saw any fuck-ups, please take the time to comment. And please, please, please give us your tactical tips. If you have ideas to change our lists, throw those in as well. We'd love to hear from all of you. And we definitely doesn't all have to be good stuff, although my ego could take some good stuff sometimes. George, any final thoughts before we go?
No, it's a bit of a slog trying to crack all that armor. But
you'll do it.
I think Access is up to the challenge.
Oh, I think you're up to the challenge. Anyways, guys, it's been awesome, and remember to get out there, play a bunch of games, get your 100 in, and come down and be ready to fuck shit up, because that's what we do.